Welcome to Momentum Academy. In this lesson, we're going to explore information architecture. This video is part of the UX design module in the Momentum Bootcamp. You can find the full playlist linked in the description below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future lessons. Information architecture, or IA, is the process of organising, structuring and labelling content in a way that makes it easy for users to find and understand. The HubSpot blog explains that information architects add structure and navigation systems to simplify complex information for users. In simple terms, information architecture is how we organise and name content so users can find and understand what they need quickly. You can think about information architecture a little bit like this. You've got this thing called a house, and the design of that house determines how easy it is for people to move around and find what they need. Now in the house, you've got different rooms with different functions and different things. You've got your kitchen, living room, bedroom and bathroom. Each one has a specific purpose. So if we wanted to draw out an information architecture for a home, it might look something like this. We'd start with the main place, like the living room, where the main actions are to relax or watch TV, and the data or things would be the sofa or television. Then we'd move to the kitchen, where the actions are cook and eat, and the things are pots and utensils. In the bedroom, the action is to sleep, and the thing is the bed. And in the bathroom, the actions are shower and brush teeth, and the things are the sink and mirror. Each space has its own function, actions and items, but together they form a clear, connected structure. In the same way, our apps have an information architecture. Here is an example for a recipe app. We have pages like search, where users can look up recipes by name. We have a recipe page where they can browse by popularity or cuisine. This stores data like recipe details. Checkout has sections for payments and orders. The user profile includes payment methods, personal details and references. Each area has its own structure and purpose, but together they form a complete system for the user. When we start mapping out information architecture for our products, we usually use a tool like FigJam to visualise the hierarchy of information we believe should be displayed. There are different ways to approach this, and from our UX research, we can often learn from how competitors have structured their information. This is especially useful when it comes to navigation. For example, if a navigation menu has 8 or 9 options, users can feel overwhelmed by choice and may not know where to click. But when you limit that to just 2, 3 or 4 top-level options, it becomes much easier to scan and find what they're looking for. Those top-level options can then branch into subcategories, keeping the experience simple and logical. In our site map here for our Momentum Academy site, you can see we've got our marketing page, which sits outside the main site and directs traffic to the landing page. Then, on the landing page, we have links to courses, mentoring, blog, partnerships, support and free resources, as well as links to our terms and privacy policy. Under courses, we have Stripe for payments, an application form and a congratulations screen. Under the blog, we have a list of articles. This structure shows a clear hierarchy of information that helps users and the team see how everything connects. Here's another example from a different app that we recently completed. Again, we've got a home page, a header and a footer. Then we have the login process, which includes the first time onboarding and subsequent logins. Once logged in, users reach the dashboard where they can view appointments, book consultations, manage appointments, select their consultant, and see notifications. There's also a profile section with notification settings, account details, and a list of free resources. Finally, there are training and development events that users may be attending. By mapping out our architecture like this, we can look at what other sites do, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and compare them with our own. If our site already exists, we can evaluate its current structure and then create a future state or proposed information architecture that improves it. There are a few ways this is then applied in the user interface. The most obvious is the navigation bar. At the top of our website, we have 5 main options: contact, our work, about and academy and services. In the hero section, we also have a heading, subheading, and a call to action button. This shows the hierarchy of information. Information architecture helps us define what is primary, secondary, and tertiary in importance. The primary call to action is the progress forwards button. When you glance at the page, that's probably the first element that draws your attention. The secondary element is the contact button, which is slightly less prominent but still easy to find in the top right corner. Finally, the tertiary options are the 4 navigation links: our work, about, academy, and services. These are important for context but hold lower priority than the main actions. Information architecture is what makes a digital product feel effortless to use. It's what helps users feel oriented, confident, and in control. When IA is poor, users feel lost. They don't know where to go, or they have to hunt for simple actions. But when it's good, the experience feels seamless. The content appears exactly where they expect it to be. Now, information architecture doesn't just apply to navigation, it also applies to everything on your page. It influences how we design buttons, headings, subheadings, body copy, and even small captions next to inputs. Having that hierarchy defined gives users an intuitive experience. We want people to arrive and not feel overwhelmed with choices, but to see what's most important right away and easily find what they're looking for. Secondary and less common actions should still be available but organised logically so they don't distract from the main goals. The same principle applies to text and content. You might have a large amount of documentation on a topic, divided into sections with headings, subheadings, paragraphs, or images. Each of these elements sits within a hierarchy that helps readers scan and understand the content quickly. How we search, sort, filter, and categorize information is all part of designing good information architecture. We usually produce a diagram of the information architecture, at minimum, to show where we're heading with our product. A strong information architecture sets the foundation for everything that follows in the design process. It shapes how we wireframe, how we plan user flows, and how we build interfaces that make sense to the people who use them. It's the bridge between research and design, turning data into structure and structure into experience. In the next lesson, we'll look at user flows and how we use them to improve the user experience in our apps.